Governor, he's breaking all fundraising records. His campaign and Super PAC raising more than $114 million in the first half of the year. That's outdoing all his Democrat and Republican rivals. These are new numbers we have today. Elizabeth Harrington, staff writer for the Washington Free Beacon, Rebecca Berg, national political reporter for Real Clear Politics. Great to have you both today. Elizabeth, you say, and one of the things we've talked about is that there's no clear front runner. Here we have this big field of candidates. You say this money makes Jeb Bush a front runner. Why is that?
Yeah, I think it really does cement his status as the front runner. Like you said before, it's so wide open, there's no next in line candidate. But this clearly shows the advantages that Jeb has, the family connections, ability to raise money. But keep in mind, I think he was able to do this because for months he was able to just focus solely on this, the Super PAC and raise all this money while saying, oh, I don't know if I'm really going to run or not. Clearly, everyone knew he was going to run, but this enabled him to raise, unprecedented numbers, would amount to $8 a second, what he's raised here.
Well, and
so it definitely cements his status. I think others can't compete with that kind of fundraising.
You know, Rebecca, Elizabeth brings up an important point. He delayed his announcement, so he was able to raise this money, and we've talked about why certain candidates do that, but it's worth pointing out because he announced later than Hillary Clinton, for example. You say as well that this is really uncharted territory, and you have some context for just how uncharted it is as far as fundraising. What is that?
It is. Well, one of the adjectives we've heard a lot to describe this fundraising haul by Jeb is that it's unprecedented, and literally it is. This has never been done before, and he's actually taking an even more aggressive approach to Super PAC fundraising and giving his Super PAC authority than even Mitt Romney did, which was for the time something that had never been done. So he's taking it even further than he did, but we'll have to see how useful this actually is for Jeb Bush. Other candidates, their teams are still telling me that they feel confident in spite of the fact that they're at a fundraising disadvantage because they see Jeb as a flawed candidate. The conventional wisdom was if Jeb could raise this amount of money that he would scare people out of the race. Obviously, with 16, maybe 17 Republicans running, that hasn't happened. They see him as a potentially flawed candidate.
Interesting. That's a good point. Elizabeth, let me ask you about the Mitt Romney effect, if I can coin it. Rebecca just brought up Mitt Romney. There was a comment made by Jeb Bush over the last 24 hours that Americans need to work longer hours. He says he was talking about Americans moving from part-time work to full-time employment. The Democrats have pounced on that, saying, as I'm paraphrasing here, he's out of touch. But that brings up Mitt Romney, right? Too close ties to corporations, big business, a little bit out of touch with the middle class. Do you think Jeb Bush risks going in that direction?
Well, I think there's definitely a risk there because Democrats are always going to paint the Republican nominee as someone that's out of touch, and especially if it's Jeb Bush, he's going to face the same problems that Mitt Romney had, being, from a wealthy family, having all of these connections. But I don't think that statement about the part-time work is really going to hurt him. It's not like the 47% comment that Romney made. He was really talking about, look, the labor force participation rate is so low. We have all these people that have just given up looking for work. They want to get back into the workforce. They want to work more. So I don't think that's going to stick for
That
him.
was his point. But Rebecca, you say it's still on video, and so it's your hunch that perhaps that's something that continues to come up.
Exactly, and Elizabeth was absolutely right that what he said was not what he meant. He meant that people aren't working the hours that they want to be working, their shifts are being cut. But because it's on video, Democrats are able to slice this into attack ads, and we're already seeing Democrats take that statement, use it against Jeb Bush to paint this picture of him as someone who doesn't understand the plight of American workers. And this is going to be an important demographic in this election in terms of voters, and Republicans are really going to need to win over Americans on the economy if they're going to win. So I expect we'll see this in Democratic attack ads.
Now that we're seeing dollars and cents, we're seeing some polling, and we have the debates coming up. It's game on for the commercials, as we know. Elizabeth and Rebecca, great to have you. Thank you very much.